Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm Marvin Price, the Vice President of the Urban League, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Whitney M. Young Jr. Gala Awards.
All right. I'm Mike Baker II. I'm the President of the Urban League Central Carolina's Young Professionals, and this gala is going to honor community champions who have distinguished themselves through a commitment to diversity, inclusion, leadership, and philanthropy. So Marvin, some people in the audience may not know who the Urban League Central Carolina's Young Professionals are.
That's a great handoff, Mike. The Young Professionals are an auxiliary group of the Urban League of Central Carolinas, and it's a group of individuals in between the ages of 20 and 40 that are committed to helping push the Urban League mission forward. And we do that through volunteerism, professional development, and networking.
Our goal is to continue to rally committed young professionals that are willing to give their time, energy, and resources to create change in our community. Now, if you're in this audience today and you happen to be one of those young professionals that are looking to get involved, please feel free to find either myself or Marvin or various other young professional staff, and we'll be definitely able to connect you.
With that being said, let's not get it misconstrued. We understand that an individual's success is meaningless if we're not collectively moving this community forward.
There's a card on your table that's going to be referenced several times tonight for donations. If you're interested in supporting our auxiliary, the ULCC Young Professionals, you may designate your gift accordingly. Now, I would like to welcome to the stage the Urban League youth who will grace us with a special presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Raven Kiara Cupid, and I am one of the youth that Project Ready Mentor 4 program helps to cultivate, understand, and advocate for ourselves within this community. They also help us with career and college readiness. And without this program, I would say that we wouldn't quite be the illustrious individuals that we are today. So with that being said, I would like to bring one of my peers, Mr. Michael Leaf, to the mic so he can tell you exactly what it has done for him.
Good evening. I'm a little nervous, forgive me. All right. I've been alive for 17 years. I realized two things. One, that I'm getting old. And two, that's gone by so fast. I'm less than a year away from actually having to pack up all of my bags, all of my memories that I've created to begin my young adult journey. But I mean, that's how life hits you. Being told that I have to give a speech at this year's Whitney M. Young Jr. Gala hit me the same exact way. However, there are a few people in which I would like to express my gratitude towards. To begin with, I'd like to start by giving thanks to Mrs. Clowney for allowing me the opportunity to take such memorable trips such as Fort Lauderdale, Baltimore, and soon St. Louis later this summer for the Youth Leadership Summit, where I'm able to interact and be around such great minds. I'm able to get a feel of different crafts, and I'm also able to learn that just by attending events such as this one that I am at today, that I'm changing my future. I would also like to thank Mrs. Clowney for opening up my eyes in the classroom, helped me become a greater self-advocate for myself and me and my peers, and also learning that I'm around a whole bunch of great people who are able to help me. I also like to give thanks to my 9th grade AVID teacher, Mrs. Bush, who introduced the Project Ready program to me and also signed off on a recommendation that is allowing me to attend Wake Forest this summer on a partial scholarship. All right, and lastly, I would like to give a thanks to my mother for being one of my biggest supporters through all the long nights, hair pulling. Love you, Mom. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Through the help of Mrs. Clowney and the Urban League, I'm not only able to say that I'm ready to take on my future, but that I've created a family away from home. Love you. God bless.
Thank you, Michael, for that magnificent testimonial. So now we are going to hear from the magnificent Sarah Dunn and the zealous Aaliyah Hatcher. Rise up.
I used my intriguing mind as a call to duty to get the information I needed. I sent several encrypted messages to those college collectors to see where I would succeed.
I am a citizen, the student, the new generation, the future.
They said, do this,
Do that.
don't look left,
Don't look right.
and don't look back,
And don't look at the whole thing.
because you are only responsible for this
one thing.
For this one pathway. This is your only concern.
Go on.
I, the student, the new generation,
the future.
Yes, you.
You.
Yes,
You. You are the secret agent of the people.
You are the eyes of the nation. Without you,
There is only catastrophe. There is only catastrophe.
There
is only catastrophe.
There's only catastrophe. The world is big, but small for just me.
I'm on my mission. I'm doing my duty. Come and see for yourselves.
If you stop seceding,
Get off the train.
The next stop, you're down the drain. The next author,
The next engineer,
the next artist,
the next teacher,
the next entrepreneur
could be you. You are the secret agent of the people.
You're the eyes of the nation. Without you,
There is only catastrophe. I am, we are the revolution.
Well, good evening. Thank you for the wonderful presentation by the illustrious youth, and to the young man who's 17 who thinks he's getting old. Thank you for reminding the rest of us that we're getting really old. I'd like to personally congratulate the Urban League of the Central Carolinas on another great year of supporting and uplifting our community. I bring greetings on behalf of Carolina's healthcare system, our 62,000 employees, our board, and our CEO, Gene Woods. Carolina's healthcare system is proud to partner with this great organization on a variety of fronts. In particular, we're excited to learn of the alliance between the American Hospital Association and the National Urban League to improve health equity across the United States and advance diversity in healthcare leadership. This partnership aligns perfectly with our strategy around population health, which prioritizes economic empowerment, health equity, access to healthcare coverage, and equitable care for vulnerable communities. Addressing the social determinants that impact health and wellness are of the utmost importance to our organization. In fact, our very own CEO, Gene Woods, also holds the role of chairman of the board of the American Hospital Association and will be working closely with the National Urban League to help reach these goals. In case you haven't noticed, we're really, really proud of our CEO. For our part, Carolina's healthcare system has a rich culture of generosity towards the community. Each year, our teammates donate more than 50,000 service hours to local communities. It's rewarding to know that we have such a strong partner in the Urban League who we can work alongside to ensure economic mobility for all people in our communities. Last year alone, the Urban League shared with us that our sponsorship investment totaled almost $1.5 million when considering the earning potential of Urban League participants in Urban League programs. We were also able to place 30 employees from these programs in jobs at Carolina Healthcare System. So we're really proud of that investment and we're proud of that partnership. So thank you to the Urban League of the Central Carolinas for the impact that you have throughout our community, for the dedication that you have to lifting every boat in our community, and for your continued partnership on our mission to improve health, elevate hope, and advance healing for all. Thank you, and have a beautiful evening.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight for a great event. That was a wonderful performance, by the way, by those young people. Hard act to follow. I am Jack Cobb. I'm the chair of the board of the Urban League of the Central Carolinas. I want to join in welcoming you all tonight for what's going to be a wonderful evening. We're going to be celebrating the league, celebrating its mission, and most importantly, celebrating the people that we help. The good news for you is that I'm brief, because I'm here basically to introduce the next speaker. She's wonderful. She's the vice chair of our board. She's the director of diversity and inclusion at Delhaize America Shared Services Group, better known to many of us as Food Lion. Perhaps most importantly for me, she's also my exit plan because she's the incoming chairman of the board of the committee of the Urban League, which means I get to hand the gavel over to her in a few weeks. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Millette Granville.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's a setup, Mr. Jack. Welcome to this event this evening. We are so glad to have all of you here with us this evening. I am honored to serve as vice chair of the board for the Urban League, mainly and truly because of all of the unbelievable work that the Urban League does to help lift up and provide opportunity for our community. At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce or have stand my colleagues and fellow board members for the Urban League. If you are here tonight, please stand and be recognized for all of the incredible hard work that you do to support the Urban League of the Central Carolinas. Please help me thank them. I am also humbled to be the chair of the Vision Committee this year. I have to say the Vision Committee has really done an amazing job providing insight and ideals to make this event a wonderful event for us this evening. Please help me in thanking all of our members that worked so hard to make this evening possible. For the Vision Committee members, please stand and be recognized. It is also a pleasure, and I tell you, we cannot do the good work that we do if we did not have our executive sponsors. These are the companies that help us continue to build upon the legacy that the Urban League has. I want to first thank our title sponsor for this evening. As you have already heard from them, we are very excited to have them as a dedicated partner, Carolina's healthcare system. Please, one more round of applause for our title sponsor. It is now also great for me to have this time to thank all of the companies that have helped to support the work that we are doing. Please hold your applause until the end so that we can properly thank all of our sponsors. These are the companies that really dedicate not only their time but their resources, volunteerism to make sure that the Urban League is able to continue to do great work. Ally Financial, Bank of America, Delhaize Food Lion, Fifth Third Bank, Duke Energy, SunTrust, Spectrum Communications, Enterprise Holdings, Foundation of the Carolinas, Navant Health, PNC Bank, Turner Construction, Fox 46, Sugar Creek Construction, Worth Financial, WBTV, Crooked Wireless, Alston & Bird, WFAE, AT&T, Ingersoll Rand, Charlotte Observer, Price Waterhouse Coopers, Accelerated Learning Systems, and Winston & Straw. Please help me give a thunderous round of applause for all of our corporate sponsors. And last but certainly not least, it is my honor to acknowledge the Urban League staff, instructors, as well as our Gala staff that are here with us tonight. Please stand if you worked for the Gala and helping us out in making this evening possible. Please stand if you are a staff member of ULCC and if you are an instructor so that we may properly recognize you. In closing, I have to thank 3 people who have absolutely put tireless work, leadership, and just dedication into making sure that we have a wonderful evening this evening, but that we also continue the spirit of giving and supporting the work that we do. And those people are Maya Norvell, Nick Warden, and John Hamm. They have shown extraordinary leadership. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you for the privilege of being with you tonight. I've had the joy of crossing paths with many of you and the good work that you do in the city, and it's a pleasure to share this evening of celebration. I believe one of the reasons I was invited to be here this evening is because of a series our congregation hosted called Charlotte's Wake Up Call. And in that series, we explored important issues in our city around race and law enforcement and immigration and housing. And every Wednesday night for 5 Wednesday nights in a row, we had between 300 and 400 people gathered to have difficult but honest conversations on hard topics. It was a valuable endeavor. And one idea that emerged from that series was that talk is good, but it's not enough. We actually have to do something to address the unjust social and economic and political systems that lead to some of our problems. And it caused our congregation's leaders to reflect on a number of things, but one of them was the allocation of our assets. And it made us realize as we looked into it that none of our assets, I confess, were allocated and invested in minority-owned financial institutions or through minority-owned brokerages. So like good Presbyterians that we are, we do everything decently and in order. We discussed and examined our options, and we voted on a recommendation to open our very first account at Mechanics and Farmers Bank. And I thought, what better way to celebrate that new beginning for our congregation than to write our first check to the Urban League of Central Carolina. So, Mr. Board Chair and Mr. Interim President, on behalf of Covenant Presbyterian Church, I am proud to offer Urban League a donation for your good work, written proudly on a check that symbolizes a new beginning for our congregation's commitment to the welfare of all people in our city. Will you please join me as we open our evening with prayer? God of all life and of each life, we gather this evening grateful for your abundant blessings. Tonight we are particularly grateful for the legacy of this fine organization, for those trailblazers who have gone before and marked a path for advocacy and service. We gather inspired by the example of those we honor tonight, and thank you for the joy of recognizing their years of faithful service. We gather grateful for the privilege of participating in important work and ask that you equip us to continue to be faithful in our efforts. So as we gather around these tables, we dare to pray that you would so draw our hearts to you, so guide our minds, and so fill our imaginations, so control our wills, that we may be wholly yours, utterly dedicated to you and your purposes in this world. Amen.
Good Saturday, and welcome to the Whitney M. Young Awards Gala. We're filming live from the Worth Report. I'm Nick Warden, Interim President and CEO of the Urban League. I'm here with my host, Glenn Wright, President and founder of Worth Financial. Glenn, how are you doing this evening? This is such an incredibly important celebration for the Urban League of Central Carolinas. How's it feeling for you tonight?
Thanks, Nick. I'm doing fantastic. And I'm looking at this audience, and everyone looks so sharp this evening.
Well, Glenn, this is an important opportunity for the Urban League to celebrate its mission, which is to empower the community to attain financial stability and social justice in a global economy through education, training, and placement. That's why this evening is so important to many of our social and economic partners, as well as to many of our clients that are here that are also being celebrated tonight. And you know, we have an incredible group of honorees, all distinguished leaders and public servants. And in fact, recently, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Mobility Task Force released its findings. And you know what, Glenn? All of the work that we do at the Urban League of Central Carolinas is at the epicenter of those efforts. And we're very, very excited that what we're doing is in complete alignment with that work. So the future looks incredibly bright, and tonight we're going to celebrate that. Glenn, one of the most important impacts we make to the city of Charlotte is providing a career pathway for our clients in any number of national certified workforce development programs that lead to living wage jobs. Because at the end of the day, Glenn, it's really about jobs and also being able to manage the resources they have, because it's not just about getting an income, it's about managing wealth. We can't do it alone. There are two things that are most important for the Urban League to sustain its work going forward. We need individuals to contribute financially to the Urban League. It is a 100-year-old organization. It's an important brand that has been changing people's lives for a very long time. So that's one thing. Tonight is a great opportunity to give to the Urban League. Secondly, we need your personal engagement in the Urban League. You know, Brian Stevens wrote an incredible book. It's called Just Mercy. But it requires all of us to get closer to the problem. So we have a number of programs for youth and adults, but we need your personal engagement. We need you to touch and feel so we can broaden the social capital of the individuals we work with. So certainly we need your financial engagement, but we also need your social engagement as well.
Absolutely. This is the work that we do every week, you and I, Nick, making sure that we can help serve the community by bringing financial literacy, different topics, things that they might not be able to see in the schools, unfortunately, or they might not be able to see in the community, that we're able to bring and help families to make a change one family at a time. That's why financial literacy is so important, to understand how to balance a budget, to understand how to invest in your retirement plan, how to save for retirement, how to prepare for the unexpected. That's what we do every week, Nick, and that's why I'm honored to be here with you today.
An investment in the Urban League is truly standing for opportunity and not only changing an individual's lives, but changing a family's life and changing the destiny of a community. So tonight, enjoy the evening, absorb the testimonies, and stand for opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. Trust that everyone is enjoying this illustrious event thus far. I'm at the podium now to talk about an initiative that really reflects the community partnership that is going to be needed in order to curb Charlotte from a few parallel but very conflicting realities. One reality is that Charlotte is experiencing a significant amount of economic growth. Another reality is that there are widening gaps between haves and have-nots. Nick just mentioned on the video the Economic Opportunity Task Force report that outlines a few very tangible and salient recommendations about how we can lessen the gaps that exist between haves and have-nots, and in fact, to lessen economic disparities. The City Council, my bosses, have also outlined a three-pronged approach, a letter to the community that was issued last fall that sought to lessen economic disparities based upon three premises: better police and community relations, more access to affordable housing, and better access to good-paying jobs. And it's on that third premise that I want to introduce to the broader community Project Peace. But before I do that, I'd like to recognize some of the city elected officials that I've seen tonight, and I'd like to ask them to stand and be recognized by the crowd. I really appreciate the wisdom and the forethought that they saw in approving a $1 million allocation over the next 3 years to this valuable partnership between the City of Charlotte, Urban League of the Central Carolinas, and Goodwill Industries of the Southern Piedmont. So what is Project Peace? P-I-E-C-E, Partnership for Inclusive Employment and Career Excellence. Partnership for Inclusive Employment and Career Excellence. Partnership, that three-way bond that exists between the city, the Urban League, and Goodwill that has really strengthened since this program began. Also, the partnership that we experience with private sector companies in the construction trades that are interacting with program trainees, that are hiring them when they graduate from this program, which, by the way, is geared toward opportunities in residential and commercial construction, broadband and fiber optic cabling, and highway construction. So far, I'm glad to report that this partnership is lessening labor shortages in industries related to construction, but it's also connecting some of our most vulnerable populations, those with multiple barriers to employment. And I'm proud to announce that thus far, 70 individuals have enrolled, 52 have completed, with many still in classes, and just about 80%, 40, have found employment. That would not be possible without the outstanding work that is taking place within the Urban League of the Central Carolinas. It has been an absolute joy to work with Nick and the team there who are dedicated and really committed to helping companies find the talent they need, but also helping individuals find the opportunities they need. And so what I'm here to say is that the public sector, the not-for-profit sector, have initiated this project, and we've engaged some of the private sector. But we need more support to sustain this. And so as Nick talked about providing long-term support to the Urban League, consider Project Peace one of the significant outcomes that can arise based upon your generosity and donations. Thank you so much for your time, and good evening.
Good evening, all of you. Look at how gorgeous you guys are looking tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. I'm Christine Spiro with WBTV. I'm the morning anchor there, and I'm up bright and early at 4:30 in the morning until 9 a.m. Who's up at 4:30? You mean nobody in here gets up to see the president's first tweet of the morning? Sad. That's all I have to say. Sad, in all caps. See, somebody got my joke over there. Somebody got my joke over there. No, thank you for being here tonight. This is my first time being at this wonderful gala, and I'm honored to be here and help with the best part of the evening, presenting our honorees. So, I'm gonna ask you to turn your attention to the TVs, and see who our first honoree is.
My name is Marilyn Bowler. I am immediate past president of the Goodwill of Southern Piedmont. That's one of the proudest titles I've carried in my long career. Whitney Young was known as sort of a power broker on behalf of people who were disenfranchised. And I have to say that's a perfect description of Michael Elder. Throughout his 40-plus years as CEO of Goodwill, that's been his focus. He not only focuses his vision and his leadership and his skills and his strength toward helping lift people out of poverty, but he puts his heart into it. It's not just the brain, it's the heart, and that's what counts. For the 40-some years that Michael has been spearheading this Goodwill, his entire intent has been job placement. So in order to lift families and individuals in need out of poverty, Michael realizes and emphasizes they need jobs. Now, anyone who has met his wife, Karen, knows that Michael has found his soulmate. His great love outside of being a great businessman and a visionary and a super leader, he rides motorcycles, and they ride all over the place. Most people that know Michael can't even imagine seeing him on a motorcycle, but by gosh, he is on a motorcycle whenever he can be. As a Rotarian, Michael lives by the four-way Rotary test, which is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Michael lives by those codes. Michael, on behalf of the past boards of directors and our current one, we all wrap our arms around you. We've told you this a million times. We love you. We respect you. There's no one finer in this world, and we wish you all the happiness that this particular award is. You've gotten a lot, Michael. You've gotten a lot of awards. This is a biggie. Congratulations.
This is a biggie. This is a biggie. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Michael Elder.
Wow. Well, after that, Marilyn, I guess I should just sit down, right? Thank you so much. I got to tell you, when Nick called me several months ago and said that they wanted to honor me, and then he mentioned who the other honorees were, my response was, Nick, are you sure you dialed the right number? He assured me that he had dialed the right number, and it is an incredible honor to be a part of such distinguished company. What a great privilege it has been to serve this community for the last 40 years, and to serve it through an organization that has always been about breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for people to achieve their fullest potential. But I can tell you that any success that Goodwill has achieved, any success that we have achieved and impact we have made with the people we serve is truly a collective effort. So I want to make sure that the primary thing I do tonight is to thank members of my board, volunteers who have supported Goodwill, our incredible leadership team. Many of them are here tonight, so thank you. I want to also acknowledge my church, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte. Several members are here tonight, including our senior minister, Reverend Jay Leach. And Jay has been a great role model over the last 10 years to me to truly be a drum major for not just the talk, but really walking the talk of social justice. Thank you, Jay. Most importantly, I want to thank my loving family. My brother Bill and his wife Catherine are here tonight, and of course the love of my life that Marilyn mentioned, my companion, my friend, and partner, my wife Karen. Thank you. I wish tonight that we could say that our work is done. I wish we could say that economic opportunity is an equal opportunity for every person in our community. I wish I could say there is a groundswell of tolerance and a desire to truly listen to one another with a heart of compassion. But we all know too well that our work is not done. Economic opportunity is not an equal opportunity. Tolerance has too often of late been replaced by polarization and distrust. And yet, tonight, and especially in this room, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I believe that people of goodwill can in fact change the trajectory of poverty, disparity, and inequality. So thank you, Urban League. This is an incredible honor. It will inspire me to continue to work toward that day when every child and every adult is treated with the inherent dignity and worth that they deserve. In the words of my religious tradition, may it be so. Indeed, may it be so. Thank you.
Michael just told me, don't trip up the stairs. I'm thinking, what if you were in these shoes? Yeah, you might trip, right? All right, please turn your attention to the monitors again so we can introduce our next honoree.
I'm U.S. Congressman G.K. Butterfield, representative for North Carolina's 1st Congressional District. Congresswoman Alma Adams is a phenomenal woman. It's an absolute joy for me to serve with her in the House of Representatives. You know, when you talk with Alma and learn about her background, that fully explains who she is. She spent 40 years in a classroom at Bennett College, teaching women who have now gone into the world of work and are making a difference. Spent 17 or 18 years in the North Carolina House of Representatives, some of those years as the chairwoman of the Legislative Black Caucus, leading that political organization in the House of Representatives. And so she came to Washington well prepared for this job, and she is a phenomenal woman, effective legislator. From the very first day that she opened her congressional office, she has been on a mission. Her passion is strengthening and emboldening HBCUs to be able to reach more African American students. And she is known now in the Congress in this very short time that she's been there. She has a reputation, a good reputation, of being one of the best advocates for education, for higher education for African American students. Under the leadership of your very capable leader, Mark Morial, you have a long tradition going all the way back to Whitney Young. You have a long tradition of being able to work out differences between political groups and reach a compromise and legislate and get things done. Alma Adams is made out of that fabric. As chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, when Alma Adams first came to Congress, one of the first meetings that she participated in was a meeting with President Barack Obama. I took 40 African American congressmen to the Roosevelt Room in the White House for a meeting on a variety of issues that face the country. One of those issues happened to be funding for HBCUs. The problem was that the table that we sat only could hold 20 individuals, but there were 40 in my delegation. So 20 sat at the table and 20 sat behind those who sat at the table. And since Congresswoman Adams was the junior member of the delegation, she unfortunately had to not only sit behind the delegation at the table, but she had to sit to the far end of the delegation. And so as we went through the meeting, she was very calm and very patient and listened attentively to the conversation. But when we got on the subject of HBCUs, and after we went through our litany of questions that we had for President Obama, and when Congresswoman Adams realized that we were running out of time and that she probably would not get recognized to be heard during that meeting, she interrupted the conversation. She did it respectfully, but she interrupted the conversation and stood up and walked closer to President Obama to make her point about the importance of continuing strong support for HBCUs. It was very impressive. I'm sure President Obama will remember it for the rest of his life. I certainly will. I say to you, my friend Alma Adams, I love you. The people of the 12th Congressional District love you. And anyone who knows anything about your background and your philosophy and your dedication and commitment, salute you on this day. I love you. Congratulations. We've got some good years in front of us, girl. We're the same age. Let's go for it.
Please welcome everybody, Alma Adams.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for opening up your community to me. It is a privilege indeed for me to represent you and to serve this 12th Congressional District in Washington, D.C. And nothing could be finer than to be back in Charlotte, North Carolina tonight after all the turbulence in Washington, D.C. this past week. But I want to thank my colleague, Congressman Butterfield, for his kind words, and he's absolutely correct. But you know, I feel like Fannie Lou Hamer, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this discussion around our schools. And you know, we've got to move the conversation away from why do we need HBCUs to what would we do without HBCUs. And I know I don't have a lot of time to preach tonight, but I've got to first of all thank the Urban League of Central Carolina for all of the wonderful work that you do, for all of the opportunities that you provide for so many people. And my life's work of 34 years in elected office has brought me from school board to Congress. The Lord has been good to me. He's allowed me to, a poor black girl from the ghetto of Newark, New Jersey, and my mom did domestic work. She cleaned other folks' houses, so I wouldn't have to do that, and I haven't had to. I need to clean my own. But I've got to tell you that I've been so privileged to have the opportunity to serve. And I do that believing that service is indeed the rent that we pay for living on this earth. And so I thank the Urban League for all of their work and for the dedication to eradicating inequity and discrimination and to helping to make this transformation for folks be a reality. And I certainly want to thank you for this award, because Whitney Young's legacy is forever etched in the book of our collective past. We're all torch bearers of this legacy, and that's a responsibility that we have. So I stand on the shoulders of so many like Fannie Lou Hamer, so many like Shirley Chisholm, who paved the way for black women to serve and run for the legislature from the courthouse to the White House. And as the 100th woman who had the opportunity to be sworn in to the 113th Congress with your support, I'm reminded every day that I stand on the shoulders of giants. And as one of only 20 black women in Congress, it's a reminder that we still have a lot of work to do. And that's why the Urban League is so very important, that we must continue to support this organization and the invaluable work that they do. And before I sit down, I want to thank my family. I don't always have them all here.
but I want to thank them because they've been crucial forces in my life, as well as the Lord God Almighty, who brought me from a mighty long way. My mother, who is not here, she's in heaven. At age 90, she departed this world, but she got to see her little girl go on to Congress. But my son, Billy, and my daughter, Janelle, are here. My 4 grandchildren, Billy, Aaron, Jocelyn, and Miracle. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for being by my side. And like your grandmother, I've always been willing to sacrifice and knock down doors so that you wouldn't have to, and you could walk through any door. And you've been the wind beneath my wings, and I thank you. And so I want to also congratulate Michael Elder and Secretary Foxx. It's just a great privilege to receive this honor with the 2 of you for all of the work that you've done for this community. I know I'm a newcomer here. I'm a resident of Charlotte, let that be known. I've been living here and paying rent well over almost a year and a half now. But I want to thank John Hamm, the Urban League of Central Carolinas, for all of their leadership. You know, it is certainly a privilege to join this community. And you have all been so kind and so gracious, and I thank you. I thank you for reaching out, and I thank you for being so warm and so accepting of the work that we're trying to do. And know that I'm going to continue to work hard, and I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to speak up, and I'm going to cut up if I have to. But thank you so much. Thank you for this award. I appreciate you so very much. God bless you. Oh, I'm going to leave my award. How about that?
Okay, Congresswoman, I got to see that hat, though. Stop in your tracks there. That hat is, yes, girl. Does it have its own Twitter account? Because I'll wake up and look at that. Yes, I love it. Fantastic. Well, it is also a homecoming of sorts for our next honoree. Turn your attentions to the monitors, please.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Camila Wood, and I am pleased and honored to be able to introduce Secretary Anthony Foxx as one of tonight's recipients of the Whitney Young Jr. Award. Secretary Foxx's work at the U.S. Department of Transportation was transformative for the agency as well as for the American people. Dedicated to reversing the detrimental policies that cut off minority communities, he challenged the agency to think differently about transportation policy, beyond just roads and bridges, but as a conduit to opportunity. He fostered initiatives that focused on revitalizing distressed communities, creating pipelines for jobs and economic mobility, all of which will have generational impacts. Through his savvy leadership, there was a culture shift at the agency, a change in DNA, as I like to call it, ensuring that these initiatives would last well beyond his tenure. As a community pediatrician, I thoroughly understand the role that transportation infrastructure plays in improving health, as many of my patients don't have access to healthy foods, education, jobs, and even health care as a result of lack of access to affordable transportation, creating health inequities. As a White House Fellow, I had the honor and privilege of working with Secretary Foxx on these initiatives. This work was personally transformative, allowing me to have a greater impact as a physician as well as public servant. As one of the most formative leaders I have ever worked with, I am incredibly grateful for Secretary Foxx's dedication to public service, leadership, and mentorship. There's no one else that I know that is more deserving of this award, and for that I say congratulations, Secretary Foxx.
Come on over. Please welcome former Secretary of Transportation, left us here high and dry in Charlotte to go to D.C. for some big job, Anthony Foxx. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Urban League of the Central Carolinas for this wonderful award. I want to thank all of the sponsors of this great event, and those who have put it together. Also want to thank my mom and my grandmother who were both here today. Just in about 34 days, a big event's going to happen in my family, knock on wood. My grandmother will turn 100 years old, and she's right here with us tonight. So I'm going to talk about my grandmother a little bit tonight. She was born in a small town in eastern North Carolina known as Carthage, North Carolina. It's the county seat of Moore County, and she was one of 13 children. She knew her grandmother, who had been born into slavery, and her father, who drove a truck hauling things in Carthage and throughout parts of North Carolina. Her mom was a midwife, and together, her father and her mother sent all 13 of their children to college. The next generation went a little further. My mom graduated University of North Carolina at Charlotte. She was able to obtain a master's degree. She had a lifelong dream of becoming a PhD, interrupted by me. But she has been able to obtain her dream and become a PhD later in life. Congratulations. And then there's me. And I guess as I look at the lineage of my family, and I'm sure all of you, wherever you come from, whatever your background happens to be, this story of a generation doing a little better for the next generation and the next and the next is part of what makes this country so great. I left you on July 1st, 2013, my last city council meeting. On July 2nd, I was sworn in as the 17th Secretary of Transportation. On July 3rd, I was sitting in the Situation Room with the President of the United States and several other newly commissioned members of the cabinet. On July 5th, I was on Air Force One going on a trip with the president, and yeah, it was an out-of-body experience. But you quickly realize that there's an awful lot of work to do. Every single day of my 12 years in public service, I've tried to do everything possible to bring not only this community together, but our country together. People who are not in this room, who may not know about the poverty and the challenges of living in the inner city of Charlotte, but who are facing their own challenges, perhaps in Appalachia or another rural part of our state, need to understand that actually the problems of education in Charlotte are tied to the problems of education in eastern North Carolina. The challenges of access to health care are challenges all over this state. These challenges are not black, they're not white, they're not rich, they're not poor. They affect all of us. And so after 12 years, you might say, well, what are you running for? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But what I am committing myself to is to continue working to build the consensus among our people, all of us, to insist that our political system whoever is in charge, Republicans, Democrats, whoever it happens to be, responds to the issues that we demand they respond to. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to speak in a while, so. I was about 20 years old when I read the autobiography of Arthur Ashe, the great tennis player, but also scholar and activist. And he talked in the book Days of Grace about an interesting conversation he had with a journalist who, following his announcement that he had HIV/AIDS, the person asked him, "Is that the most difficult thing you've ever had to deal with?" And he said, "No." He said, "The most difficult thing for me is being an African American." If you really think about that, why should that ever have been? Why should that ever be? All of us bear some responsibility for trying to close the fissures we face, not only in this city, but all around this country. I'm reading the book about Julius Chambers today, and this is the last thing I'll say, I promise. I'll let you try to enjoy your evening after this depressing speech. Julius Chambers argued what was probably one of the most important cases after the Brown decision in 1954 and 55 in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg case, which was decided in 1971. And when he argued the case successfully, the court ordered busing as a way of desegregating the schools. It was not a terribly popular decision in Charlotte. And he received a letter from someone who opposed the work he had done, and actually wrote the person back, and I'm paraphrasing what he said. But in essence, what he said was, "I don't know if busing is the answer to the problem of racism in our culture. But what I do know is that we need to have a generation of people who understand how similar we all are. We're all imperfect. We all have wants and needs and foibles. And to have children sitting at the same school and seeing the humanity of other people who don't look like them is one of the best gifts we could give them." And he went further to say, "I don't know if this will work, but if it doesn't work, then we have to keep trying. No matter what, the most important thing is that we try." And so I ask all of you, thank you to the Urban League. I've seen the Urban League trying for years. I remember the Recovery Act and the 80 young people who were working to learn fiber optics, great jobs they could get that would pay $80,000. Dr. Graham, thanks for that great work. Michael Elder, thank you so much for all of the work you did to help us reorient our workforce development programs, to take us from a train and pray model to one where we could actually get people into jobs. Thank you to Congresswoman Alma Adams for always being a great voice and advocate for not only Charlotte, but for the 12th District and people who oftentimes don't get heard. But every day, folks, all of us in our ways, large and small, the only thing we can do is try. Thank you.
give another hand for our honorees tonight, doing so much good for our communities. Please welcome to the stage now with the Urban League of Central Carolina's Maya Norvell.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is enjoying their evening. I am Maya Norvell. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at the Urban League of Central Carolinas. We're going to switch gears a little bit right now, and we're going to hear some testimonials from former clients of ours. You know, the work that we do at the Urban League every day can be very trying and emotional. With clients with all kinds of barriers coming in to get trained and certified in different programs, nationally recognized programs. And, you know, with every cloud is a silver lining. And those silver linings are the testimonies that the clients have to tell once they, you know, can provide a better neighborhood for their children, or afford to pay bills, or for our youth to go and get prestigious scholarships and make it to prestigious colleges. So at this time, we're going to switch gears, and we are going to hear from some client testimonials. First, I'd like to bring up Brittany Barber and Antonio Robertson.
All right. Well, before I begin, I just want to thank everyone for having me and thank you all for being here. This is truly a blessing, an honor, a privilege. So, well, yeah, let's go ahead and get this going. Prior to the Urban League, I was your average high school student just searching for something to separate me from the pack. The Urban League and I stumbled upon each other at Harding University High School when I was in like maybe 9th or 10th grade, and that's where I met Miss Tammy Green. She's not here tonight, but I also met Miss Sheila Funderburg. My experience with the Urban League was unlike any other. The Urban League has helped me in more ways than one, from providing me with internship opportunity to learning networking skills that I hope to introduce myself to some people here. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, now I'm a rising senior at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Thank you. With that, the Urban League has truly instilled some great things in me to the point where I don't know where I'd be now without it. The Urban League, my experience with the Urban League has instilled the importance of service, leadership, and provided me with an unmatched support system. And it's truly been an example for me. I hope to pay homage to the esteemed leaders of the Urban League and truly be as resourceful to someone else as they were all to me. So I just want to thank Ms. Sheila Funderburg, Ms. Tammy Green, and everyone else at the Urban League for truly being there for me. So thank you.
I truly don't know how to follow Brittany. She's so great. To introduce myself, my name is Antonio Robertson. I am also actually, I'm a graduating senior from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Next week, I will be graduating. Yes. Just to really reiterate a lot of things Brittany said, my connection with the Urban League is unmatched. I had the great opportunity to be a part of the Digital Connectors program here with the Urban League, and it ultimately renewed my spirit behind technology and service. Being able to give back has been a big part of my platform of who I am and who I continue to develop to be, and ultimately, I have a strong passion behind giving back to my community. With all that being said, the Urban League sets a strong foundation for who I am today and how I've been able to carry myself and be a leader in my community, and not only in Charlotte, but as well as in Greensboro. And I would truly like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to every individual who has just given me an opportunity when no one else tried to give me one. It takes a lot to step outside your comfort zone because it shows that you have effort and you have a courage to do something. And I'm a firm believer that progress always happens outside that comfort zone. And I'm glad to be a byproduct of that. And I want to thank Tammy Green, the Digital Connectors program, everything that has ultimately led me to who I am today and will have me walking across the stage next week. I truly want to give a shout out to my mom, she's here with me today, who has truly set the foundation for everything I've done. And ultimately, I would like to give the big shout out to God, of course, because without his guidance, I do not know where I would be here today. So again, thank you everyone for this wonderful opportunity, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
And next, coming to present his testimonials, Kendall Davis. And Kendall graduated from our Urban Youth Empowerment Program and also our HVAC program.
Good evening. I came to the Urban League looking for an opportunity, and I found an opportunity. Not only did I receive hands-on training or, support, a good support system, I found, it seemed like my teachers had cared. My instructor cared about me. My instructor seemed to care about my future. When I graduated, I was the top of my class, and I had received my HVAC certification. I had went to the train apprenticeship with my teacher, my class. And I got to meet the CEO. We talked about opportunities, growing the business, learning my trade. Went off, started doing application. With the help of the Youth Empowerment Program, I got the help I needed to start interview, job readiness programs. I did several applications, and I was told, you ain't gonna find a job in December because of slow season. I persevered, and I found a job with Charlotte Housing Authority, so I have full-time employment with Charlotte Housing Authority. I owe a lot of the credit to the Urban League. I want to thank Mr. Gates, Mr. Carrington, Mr. President Warden. I want to thank Ms. Clowney and other members of the staff for giving me this opportunity, and thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, next coming to the stage, we have a representative from Duke Energy.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Parrish, a Community Relations Manager at Duke Energy.
And I'm James Bowden, a retired executive for Duke after 43 years. Duke Energy is proud to partner with the Urban League with high school students and adults interested in energy-related jobs. Our financial commitment to the Urban League is providing the funds to teach the construction and skill trade, or better known as the CAS exam, for candidates that's interested in jobs at Duke Energy. Utilities across the country, including Duke Energy, requires line techs and service technicians to pass the CAS before acquiring a job at Duke Energy.
Thanks to Nick Wharton and his team, we've had a tremendous year building the program. We've worked closely together. Our Lineman Training Center has hosted Urban League students. The day they were out at Duke Energy, they watched newly hired linemen climb utility poles and throw basketballs to each other. Our HR department has worked to take the stress out of test taking by administering the CAST exam at the Urban League instead of at our corporate offices. And when a second semester instructor was needed, one of our retired executives, James Bowden, jumped into action for us and located another teacher. Over the next decade, Duke Energy will be investing $13 billion to make North Carolina's grid smarter, more reliable, and more secure. To do this work successfully, we'll need more certified linemen and other types of employees to get the job done.
So I'm going to break away for 1 minute from the script and just tell you all about a line tech job at Duke Energy. You see them driving the trucks every day, performing line technician work. But let me tell you this about a line tech job. The job requires a high school education or a GED. That job pays with overtime from $90,000 to $110,000 a year. That is not just a job, that is a career. And just think about our young men and women who can acquire a job at Duke Energy that pays that type of money, what that would do to changing their whole life. Not only their life, it would change the life for generations. Tonight, I want to introduce to you Blake Sheehan, a Duke Energy lineman. See how his work contributes to building a smart energy future for our state.
I'm a Duke Energy lineman, and it's a big responsibility we all take very seriously. Some people ask why I enjoy being a lineman. I think it's because of the sense of community. We usually know a lot of people that live in the community that we serve, so it's important for us to know their powerism. It's all part of making sure the system is up and running in all types of weather. Keeping your lights on is the main goal. We're committed to providing the best value we can and looking for more ways to keep the system reliable for the future. We all need energy to power our lives, create jobs, and grow the economy, and build a better North Carolina we all call home. My name is Blake, and I'm very proud to be a lineman for Duke Energy, and you can count on me to be there for you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody's still with us tonight, right? Do we need to stand up and stretch? Are you guys good? We can do the hokey pokey. Everybody's good in a way. All right, because this is an important part of the program. We definitely want your undivided attention. Please welcome to the stage Tony Perez with Carolina's Health System. I'm sorry, Carolina's Health Care System. Don't send me an extra bill.
Wow, what a fabulous and inspirational night. Good evening, I'm Tony Perez, Assistant Vice President of Security and Real Estate at Carolina's Healthcare System. Let's give another congrats to all the honorees. They have done such a great job. Now, I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is we have all the money we need for all of the Urban League programs. The bad news is that it's in your pockets. So you know what time it is. It's that time that one spouse looks at the other, take your pen out, and that spouse suddenly disappears. My beautiful wife, Felicia, knows that. I'll usually head to the bathroom right now, but not tonight. But seriously, why should you give? You've already heard earlier, CHS has hired many graduates of the Urban League program who have served our organization well. Personally, I have taught at the Urban League 15 years ago, life skill classes. Personally, 10 years ago, I was on the board of the Urban League and saw how they'd use almost every dollar to go right in the community. On top of that, personally, I'm gonna share, I have had a relative who lost his way, and the Urban League helped him find his way. So this is personal. Does it work? Absolutely. Graduates on an average have seen their income multiplied by 3 times. 84% of them remain employed for several months and years afterwards. And 91% of the youth program participants have made positive gains academically. So how do you give? Tonight we got a very important goal. We want to raise $25,000 $5,000 tonight. Now, there's about 500 people in the room. So if 25 of you give $1,000, we'll succeed. Said another way, if 50 of you give $500, we'll succeed. Or if only 100 of you give $250, we'll receive. Now, don't ask me to do any more math than that. I just went to a little college called Davidson. We don't know too much, right, Anthony? Secretary of Transportation and whatnot. There are envelopes on your table. Please take a moment, fill out one, insert a check, and a volunteer will come around your table and pick them up. This is your time. Now, we're not going to really know what's in the check, so if one of y'all want to be ballers and just start waving it around, you can do that tonight. No one will know. Or you can visit the Urban League website. Another way you can help is to be a volunteer. Get personally involved in the Urban League. There's many exciting programs that occur daily at the Urban League. You can be a mentor, you can be a tutor, or you can be a program assistant. You can make the difference between a full life of a youth or a life of crime. Or get your company's employees involved with the Urban League, as Bank of America did, who organized a 3-month career mentoring program, or Accenture, who employees lead a summer coding camp for young girls. There's endless ways to get involved in the Urban League. I'd like to thank again the Urban League and Nick and his team for putting on a wonderful night. I'd like to thank my host, Renew Energy, Elizabeth and Richard Payne, for sponsoring tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony. And now coming to the stage, please welcome our interim president and CEO, Nicholas Wharton.
You know, I needed to stop and tell Maya what an extraordinary job she has done orchestrating this entire evening. Please show her your respect and admiration for such an amazing, amazing job. I also want to thank Christine Sparrow for her wonderful time with us. It was just precious having her. She is just incredible. I'm one of those people who've gotten up in the morning and heard her and watched her on her show, and she's just exceptional. So one of the things that's very exciting about this evening is that we're really about standing for opportunity. We could have very easily changed that theme to fidelity to the movement. The Urban League, the National Urban League, is a 100-year-old organization. The affiliate here in Charlotte has been here since 1978. And many of you know the brand value of the Urban League. Your parents know it. You being here tonight, the young people in the room, it'll become emblazed in their heart, the importance of the Urban League. The intentionality of this evening to make sure young people were at the center of this evening was very, very important. Because they're watching you. Whether you know it or not, they're watching you. And they're learning about being involved in things that are greater than themselves. So I want to thank you for being here this evening. I'm also reminded of this. Many of us attend galas for similar kinds of events. But a lot of times I'm at these events, and I realize that we're at an event representing the needs and aspirations of those who cannot afford to be here. That's a curious dynamic. They have access, but they don't have the resources to be here. Sounds familiar? So what you're doing this evening is extraordinary, but the fidelity to the movement is important. The road ahead as we look at what's happening at the national level, is going to be fierce. More fierce than we've seen in perhaps 50 years. And fidelity to the movement is going to be major. So I didn't want to talk long to close this out. But I just want you to know that in many cases, the fidelity to the movement is almost like being married. You have ups and downs. My wife and I, for at least 15, 20 years of our marriage, of 36 years of marriage, we've taught couples ministry. And we don't teach it because we know what we're doing. We teach it because as doctors and lawyers, we're practicing to get it right. So fidelity to the movement doesn't mean that you just engage in this work. It's what you also do in the light and in the dark, because young people are watching you. They're looking to you for leadership and guidance. So this evening, the last voice that you hear or person that you'll see will not be Nick Wharton. We have with us this evening two extraordinary people who you may have heard about. You may have heard about them. But their commitment, right, to family, to building the communities, is in stark contrast to what we hear about the African American family. These individuals, and I'd like to ask them to come up on stage with me now. Could you assist both Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Willie Williams to come up with me on the stage? Fidelity to the movement means always being consistent, always with good times or bad times, staying committed to each other and to family and community. That's what we need more so than anything else. If African Americans had believed their lying eyes through the abomination of slavery, more of them would have gone simply mad. This evening tonight represents fresh eyes, a new perspective of what opportunity is like. You saw those young people. That's powerful stuff. So as they gather to the stage, I just want to tell you who they are, and you will never, ever forget who they are. Mr. and Mrs. Willie Williams. Mr. Daniel is 100 years old. His lovely wife is 98 years old. They have been committed to each other for 79 years. They are the longest married couple in the state of North Carolina and the second longest married couple in these United States. And I just want you to just keep on applauding, because married folk in the room, you know what I mean. Keep on applauding.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our program tonight. The dance floor will now open.